It was a bonus content.
Pilot episodes, they're so cool.
Right?
Like the Adventure Time pilot.
I haven't seen it.
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Like, look it up, see it. It's wildly different, and yet the soul of it is so, like, distilled and pure to, like, what Adventure Time is. And it's like, so, I would do a whole different episode about that. It's so interesting.
I've actually only watched, like, bits and pieces of Adventure Time. It was kind of like after my days of cartoon.
Actually, when I started to watch Adventure Time, I like decided I'm going to watch Adventure Time. I started with the pilot.
Okay.
So that, and I liked that experience a lot, so maybe you would enjoy that too. But
just keep in mind that most pilot episodes, okay, I don't want to say most, but a lot of pilot episodes do make it to air as the first episode.
Yeah.
That's why you see...
I know.
Often in a lot of shows, you see the first episode is also, like, really different than the rest of the series.
Yeah, kind of like low budget and, like, still, like, kind of getting ironed out and stuff, which I love that in a show, because it's like... Oh, it's little baby Adventure Time, or it's little baby Avatar, like, you know, and then, like, when you're watching it through that for the first time, then it hits, like, the full budget, like, so they got the grant, they got everything worked out, it's like, whoa, it's, like, getting so good, and then you look back, and it's like, oh, this is where we started.
Right. I'll have to look into that. I hear good things about Adventure Time. It's definitely a fan favorite.
I think it's one of those kids shows similar to Avatar that is not a kids show. Like, it is, but it's so much more. Not to make this about that show, but it really gives you so much more to think about when you look at, like, fantasy worlds, and also, like, philosophically. I'll put this out here. Adventure Time is a show in a fantasy world about a fantasy boy hero and his magical talking dog. But it's also not. I believe that Adventure Time is the story of a boy, quite normal boy, growing up with a quite normal dog, and Adventure Time is the story of his childhood as played out in his mind and his imagination. And you can interpret everything that happens in the show through this lens. And I don't know why that lens, like, became apparent to me. If I rewatched Adventure Time, I'd probably remember when I first had that thought, what made me think that way. But that way of viewing the series just blows my mind, like, how much there is to just talk about storytelling and all of that, and just, you're probably going to cut all this out in post, but
not at all.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's a really deep show. It's great. It's got a great fan base. They were supposed to make a offshoot series called Simon and Marcy, which I was excited for, but then I heard almost nothing about it, so I don't know if it was good or not, or if it's even out yet. Who knows?
I've never heard of it.
Also, really quick, interesting about Adventure Time is that the way Adventure Time functions, the pitch and the concept and the actual story in each episode, like with Avatar, a very realistic, immersive, world-consistent, well-developed world and concept, like, it makes sense that those are very distinct. For Adventure Time, those two things are so blurred. Like, there are episodes, it's like, how does this fit into the grander story at large at all? It's like, it doesn't, but it, like, kind of informs the characters, and so it, like, then becomes so relevant.
Does that count as filler?
It counts as filler, but the characters are so engaging, and you learn new things about the characters every single episode, at least from my perspective, that I feel like from a show standpoint, from, like, a storyboarding standpoint, it would, except that the way the Adventure Time story functions is that every piece of filler involves the characters and the development and the theory of the story almost. And so it's like, on a certain level, it again, they're so blurred, it's almost like all of it's filler and none of it is. And that sounds really bad, but trust me, it's great. It's really, really unique. And I love that, but I love how Avatar is so distinct about, like, the story goes in order, and there's, like, almost no, if any, filler. I love that in a show. It's just beautiful.
Are you much of a binger when it comes to TV
Not
shows?
typically. If I... it depends on my, like, lifestyle at the time, though. Like, college lifestyle, like, if I was, like, home for break, which was... It was a little different because I had a car and sort of was, I think, online for, like, that nearest semester. I can't remember if it was the previous one or the post one, but I was, like, all online. So I basically had the ability to be wherever I wanted for, like, 8 months. So, like, that lifestyle, I tend to not be able to binge shows anymore just because I have too much going on in my life. But in college, oh, yeah. And I was in college at that time, so.
I hate to admit this, especially on camera, but while I was in college, I binge watched Gossip Girl.
Interesting.
in 10 days.
You don't strike me as a Gossip Girl aficionado.
I don't know what it was. I've actually watched the show from start to finish twice in my life.
Twice?
Yeah.
How long is the show?
It's exactly 129 episodes.
129
over
episodes.
6 seasons. But
so
they're
you
40
did
minutes.
that twice, and you're also a fan of One Piece.
Oh, I'm caught up with One Piece.
Oh, how do you find the time? I can't even fathom.
I'll give you my secrets later.
Okay. I share them with our viewers.
I listen to a lot of stuff in the car. Like I'll put my phone down.
Smart.
And so it's like watching, except you don't get to look at the screen. And
I feel like that's like half, if not 3/4 of like the experience of watching the show, though.
Well, when you stop at a stop sign or a red light, you get to look down and peek at what's happening.
Listen, I did that during Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Z, because I was trying to push through and finish it because my Funimation subscription was ending, and I almost got there. I was like, we were in the second part of the Boo saga, and we were almost at the end of that. We were almost to Kid Boo, and then ended, and I was like, darn, I almost finished it. But yeah, that was only a few times, and I really was like upset to not be able to be watching it, because I was doing mega road trips the whole summer.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sidetracking us again.
No.
So you watched Gossip Girl. I want to know this. I want to understand this.
So I did watch Gossip Girl. The second time was kind of just like a background noise situation. It wasn't actually a real watch.
Okay.
But when I first binged it, I watched all 129 episodes in exactly 10 days. So it was about...
So that's 11 episodes a day?
Give
12?
or 12 and a half episodes a day. So some had more, some had less.
How long are the episodes? 20 minutes, an hour?
40 minutes.
Not an hour. That would be impossible. 40 minutes?
Yeah.
10 days. Did you leave your house?
Yeah. So it was a school weekend, and I was working part-time. So I would literally I would have my phone propped up at school while I was in class. I had it propped up at work when I was at work after school, and then I would just go home and like watch it till like 3 a.m. And then rinse and repeat. And that was just a whole week of that.
Do you still do this at work?
Do
you still do this at work?
Occasionally I have something on in the background.
Okay.
It definitely helps me. It helps me binge, and it also helps me keep my mind off of the monotony of some menial tasks I do. Although I do love my job and I find it very interesting, there's just some tediums that happen that I'm just like, all right, I'd rather think about something else.
For sure. No, yeah, I'm not like testing you. I'm just like, curious.
It's not about you. It's about, you never know how much notoriety we're going to get.
I don't think that anyone has the right to test you in this regard. I think we've all done things while driving, while working, I guess. But we were talking about Gossip Girl, most importantly. I'm going to drill this. People who didn't look at the title of the episode are going to think this episode is about Gossip Girl. That's how hard I'm going to... I'm kidding. But yeah, so interesting. 10 days... 129 episodes, 40 minutes an episode. I have to. So, 129 times 40, that's 5,160 minutes. It's 86 hours.
Now divide that by...
It's 8 and...
divide that by 18, because I sleep an average of 6 hours a night.
Divide that by 18. When I say 86, divided by 16?
Well, 18, but...
5.375?
So if I watched straight through without doing anything else, I could have done it in 5 days. It took me double that.
Huh.
So that's like if you just don't do anything but watch it.
The math. I guess that's... Are you sure that's not the amount of hours per day?
24 would be the amount of hours per day.
No. Hours... Because we...
5
we took... This is like... So 86 is the total hours of the show that you watched.
Sure.
Divided by the amount of time that you had each day to watch those.
Which is, I said 18, but you put 16 in.
I did. That's weird.
So say 16.
4.78.
So 4.78. So between those two numbers, it would have taken me about 5 days to watch if I did nothing but sit and watch it for 16 hours a day.
That's wild.
But I didn't do that. I went to school. I went to work.
I like that story better.
But anyway, just quick side note about the driving. I do not advocate for distracted or impaired driving of any sort. Put that on the official record.
If you listen to this podcast while driving, do not have the visual aspect of it available to you. Turn your phone over, give it to a friend, etc.
Right. Give it to a friend.
Listen to it, absolutely, but don't watch it.
Preferably give it to a friend who's never heard it before so that they can spread the word.